Hey everyone, it's Joe Glines, and I'm on my own this month. Jackie wasn't feeling great, so hopefully he feels better soon. I'm out of Texas, and today's webinar we don't have any set focus on what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about we have a little demo here, and then if anyone has anything they want to cover, we do have some ideas for upcoming webinars, and so we can vote on that, or you guys can also offer up any ideas on what you'd like to have covered. And let's go ahead and get going. So, as I said, I'm in Dallas. Been using AutoHotkey for quite a while now. Although I'm still not. I don't consider myself a programmer, but it's pretty much close to all I do now. Working with using. I usually utilize AutoHotkey, not always, but it's the main thing I use. And then I combine it with some other stuff with doing statistics. But I use it for various businesses I'm running. And I basically automate my job. It's kind of funny. I went to this training event on growing businesses and finding sales leads and stuff. And a lot of the other entrepreneurs there, we all talked about what we did. And I kept mentioning my business, which is the real estate wholesaling business. But all of them wanted my help when I mentioned you could automate this with AutoHotkey. And they wanted to pay me to do that. And I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to do for work, right? I don't want to get work as a programmer. I want to use programming to leverage it for my business, but I don't have the time to do it for other people. But I think there's a decent demand out there once you find the right people that understand that, hey, they understand they're not working smart, right? They're working hard. Thanks, Susan. So anyway, it was kind of funny because unfortunately all I had was my technology business cards, so I kept having to give people a card saying, yeah, here's my contact info, but I don't want this kind of business. But who knows, maybe someday I'll actually look for it. And let's see here. So we had 26 people registered. I think everyone here knows you start off muted. I can unmute you if you want. It's usually because we don't want too many people talking over each other. Actually, I changed the setting already where you can unmute yourself. Since there's so few of us, I figured it wouldn't matter. And or just raise your hand or put it in the chat, and I'll do my best to keep my eyes on the chat and talk at the same time. And so let's move forward here. Oh, so you guys have probably heard, but I just want to get this out there that Jackie and I have been doing our quick chats, which aren't always quick. We have them both in MP3 format and video format. If you go to the automator.com/AHK-podcasts, you can see they're downloadable there, or you can watch the video, which is really just Jackie and I talking. For the most part, we don't really share stuff on the screen. The idea is more to have them about audio format. Very little do we do where we're sharing the screen. But here are the first 7 that we've covered. And we're not doing them every week, but we're pretty close. So we've been plugging along on those. The script highlight, I saw this from Lexicos, and it's built into, I think, Site now, as well as Studio has a debugging thing too, but I wanted to demonstrate it. So when you go here to download it, the very first thing you'll see when you read the README thing, it says you also need this other script, this dbgp, and it allows you to basically peek inside your variables and see what values are there and what data is there. So let me do a quick let me bring Studio up. So I have a script here, but let me launch the debug vars. So here's the script, the main script. When I launch it, it looks across all of the AutoHotkey scripts I have running, and then it allows you to peek inside them. So like here's my menu one, and you can see the variables and their values in there. So it's a cool little script. It can be helpful for debugging or just understanding what's going on. I like it, especially because it goes across scripts. So it's easy to move around and look inside and peek inside different scripts that are already running. And actually, if I like this one, actually I think it is launched right now. But if I reload it, let me hit my hotkey to reload it. You'll see it. Oh, I thought it disappeared. I was doing this earlier. Huh. But this is example, obj example. Oh, here it is up here. Okay. Failed to attach. That's interesting. Now, if I right click here and refresh, let's see if now it's down here. There it goes. And now it opened in here and I can see what's in there. Let's inspect this. So I think you can go in here and change the values. I don't know if anyone else has used this, but I thought with this object here, it should have showed me that nested levels on that object. The duh, my word, and that's the one. Duh. Why is I don't understand why? Oh, hey, why it's not showing me the value there? So maybe there's something weird going on with it. Because on the other ones, you can see on a lot of the other tools. Like here's a good one, my media player. By the way, it doesn't attach to it until you click it. Meaning it lists them all, but when you click this expand button, that's when it actually goes out and pulls in the information. That was what caused the delay. So this is a list of it's a program I wrote, AutoHotkey, for playing music, and I can basically point it to a folder, and it will randomize all the songs in that folder. And so here are all the variables it created, and their values. And then I notice if it gets truncated, you can come in here and say inspect, and it will show you the full length of it. So let's not pick on my music, but still you get the idea. So it's a cool script that can be helpful if you're trying to understand what values are in your variables. It's pretty easy to use. Oh, there's Dale. Hey, Dale. And so yeah, so that was on the forum. Again, I'm not sure why I would have thought. I still think it should be showing us on this OBJ example one. It should be showing the value of that OBJ. Here's the duh. Why is the duh not have the value there? I don't understand why that's going on. I don't think it now shouldn't, you know, actually, maybe it does. Maybe it does. Hold on a second. So let me reload it now. Whoa, hey, we saw some stuff happen here. Let me refresh this. OBJ example. Aha. Okay. So duh, my word. That's the problem was I had my hotkeys in front of the object. So, it's a great thing to learn with AutoHotkey. Hey, John. The flow, right? When AutoHotkey launches, it does go through the entire program, but apparently it doesn't load the variables into memory. It just goes to make sure everything is going to work properly. I'm sure people on here can explain better exactly what happens. But now that I've put those above my hotkeys, it gets loaded, and my word duh is here, and then now I can expand this and show the values of my object. So again, this is the what was it called? Debug vars from Lexicos, and pretty cool. Especially, we've all wasted a lot of time examining variables and their data, and so it's a nice, easy way to be able to peek around in your variables and see what's going on. So, as I mentioned, Jackie and I mentioned last time, we kind of had run out of topics that we had thought about covering. Actually, I just remembered one. Now that John's here, he had a good one. I'm going to add it here, which was, what is it called? A self-repeating loop where you dive deeper and deeper. Who can remind me what that is? When the function will call itself. Recursion. Thank you. Recursion. I think that is a good topic. And John mentioned that the file folder structure is a great simple example of that, where you can keep going deeper and deeper as long as there's stuff beneath it. And that is I think it is a good topic to cover as far as, especially for files and folders, but also for variables and for when you write a function. And sometimes you might want to have it be able to call itself over and over. And that one, I understand how it works. I haven't written one myself, and because I think the need just doesn't come up that often. But when it does, it's a beautiful thing, right? Because then it's an infinite number of times it can call itself, and you don't want to be programming that. But we had some other the try and catch. I think we've of course used that a lot in other webinars, but I think fully going into it and showing demonstrations with it, also showing what you can catch and that you can show the errors, that would be a good one. I think the best practice for running multiple scripts. Oh, awesome, John. Oh, menus and submenus. I like that. Yeah, actually, menus on their own would be a really good one. As far as talking about the status of AHK2, I think we could probably do that in this webinar, because although we could, I guess we could talk about not just the status, but some of the differences with it, right? Of the advantages I guess advantages and disadvantages of using it over the regular version. Well, yeah, and it's interesting because your point about getting prepared for the transition, you know, I'm not sure if and when that transition will happen. It's one of those things you would think by now we would have made the switch, but it's one of those. I know when I first started learning Python, they were right in between the 2. I think was it 2.3 or 2.7? I forget what it was, but compared to 3, and the problem was 3. Things were not backward compatible for 2, and so a lot of the Python developers didn't switch over, and it basically took years for Python to get over this hoop of what version are you using. I think they finally have now. Everyone uses 3, but for quite a while. It really split the community, and because it weren't backwards compatible and things would break, it really divided them up. 2, I think with AutoHotkey, they're more similar than they are different. It's not like it is in Python. Some things definitely go away, from my understanding. And what I like is that they're leaning. It's been written more for using functions and getting rid of a lot of the commands, I believe, which I love having things as a function instead of having them as a command and having to write them on separate lines. It just seems to open up more doors when you can use it as a function. Does anyone else have any ideas? The menus and subunits, I think that's a great topic, because when I first started building them years ago, it was so confusing to me. And then they were a pain. And then that's actually, honestly, Jean, that's one of the reasons why I love using QAP is I just did it before this call started here. This is my QAP menu, and I built this sub menu here, and then I'm like, you know what? I have all these different websites that I build and manage, and I have to have a bookmark to get to each one. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to build a folder, or I guess a menu. I think it was a folder, and then have my each of them in here. And I did that in seconds, and it was like, man, that's so easy. And of course I can customize the icon for this. Just beautiful job with that again. But I remember I used to do all these things manually, and like with this one. And man, it took me a lot of time to write this out, especially when you have multiple nested levels. It gets so damn confusing when you're writing it by hand, at least to me. You kind of got to build in the opposite direction that you would normally think. But anyway, I think it is a good idea for a topic for a webinar. Does anyone have anything they want to share? Anything fun they did lately? Hold on. There are some commands that are tagged, deprecated in the doc. These won't work with 2. Oh, cool. Dale, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to? And then if you can, share your screen if you have something actually for us to see. That's weird. I clicked the button. All right, I'll unmute you. Let me find there you are. Try it again. I just unmuted you, but it looks like you got muted somehow again. There we go.
So you're able to hear me now?
We can, yes.
All right. Was having a little technical difficulties. It's coming through the speaker in my laptop instead of the external speaker I just jumped on. I've been, we build on the shoulders of other people.
Absolutely.
And a neat thing, well, I could do it like through like a new email message. I kind of call it like the BlackBerry key press, where when you press and hold a key, it capitalizes it.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have to do a shift.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know, is my screen being shown?
Is it? Hold on. It could be. I don't think so.
Oh.
Did you share it? Did you, after you know what, let me stop share first, because I think since I'm the host, now that I've stopped share, I think you should be able to share.
Do I say start video?
No, in the middle of the toolbar, there's a green looking like box, almost like a little house with an arrow on the top.
Oh, share.
And then after you click that, you have to choose which like desktop or program you want to share.
Let's try this. Main screen. Oh.
It's coming up. There we go.
No, the new share. I did the secondary. Let's try this.
Yeah.
All right. So is my like an email message is up?
Yes.
So if I'm like just typing A, B, C, it's in small characters. But if I press and hold A, it'll capitalize, and
cool.
Press and hold B, it'll capitalize, and press and hold C, it'll capitalize. And similar with the I did it for a bunch of other keys, like I have 1, 2, 3. So if I press and hold 1, it changes to exclamation. If I press and hold 2, it changes to @
It doesn't change it to a capital 1. Sorry, yeah.
No.
That's cool. I like it.
I can show the code if you'd like.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Let's pop this up here.
Yeah,
Fine. I can call it BlackBerry, I think. Yeah. And I got this. I got some code. It's that website begins with S. There was a lot of code out there. Stack Overflow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did some. So it starts here. These are the characters I'm going to work with. And it keeps looping so it doesn't repeat when you're pressing and holding the key. Some delays. This is how long before it changes.
Yeah.
So with the letters, most of the letters, it wasn't a problem. Oh, yeah, here's the letters A through Z. And these were the numbers. You can see in the comments, actually I haven't looked in a while, so there were different offsets. So for the number 2, you had to get the @ sign, you would add 14 to it.
Oh man, what a pain.
And with the number 6, you add 40 to it to get the caret. 7 and 9, I'm not sure why that is. But like a lot of code, once it's written,
yeah,
it's such a big help. Because I was injured when I was a kid, so I'm missing a few fingers on my right hand, so it's hard for me to hit the shift key and hit it reliably. So now I could just press and hold the letters. I don't have to hit multiple keys.
Very cool. Yeah, honestly, and I don't know if you've released this as it's standalone program, but I could see some people being like, this is really helpful, right?
Um, sure, I'd be happy to share it. A little troubleshooting down here, and sometimes you go back and you look at code. I'm not quite sure how it
Oh
all.
man, I'm always afraid when I look at the code I wrote. Yeah,
Yeah, even if you press and hold the semicolon, it'll change to a colon, single quote, double quote, square bracket, curly bracket. So anything there's a shift that
yeah,
two characters on the key, you could just press and hold it and it'll shift to the next one.
yeah, yeah. That's neat.
Yeah, I got used to it when I had a BlackBerry, and I was like,
Yeah,
and then I saw it, I was like, oh, that was nice. So
yeah. It's interesting that the offsets aren't always the same, but I guess that's because it's a QWERTY not even layout, but yeah, I gotta imagine no matter what keyboard it is, over the 3 is always the pound, no matter where the 3 is, right? But
yes, and for most keyboards, a few laptops are a little different, but so it might have to be tweaked if you have
yeah,
a few different keys. But yeah, so like A through Z, it's just an offset of 16, and so you can see them there. So it works pretty well.
did you look to? Well, never mind. Yeah, I was thinking about the letters. You could have written it where it would go back and highlight it and then uppercase it, but obviously all the other ones, the numbers and some of the other ones you're talking about, that wouldn't work at all. But yeah, it's interesting program, but interesting topic that I could definitely see coming up especially if you have a hard time. Well, I mean, also I think people who hunt and peck too would like that over, they're using one hand a lot more. So
right, you find where the dollar sign is. Now you got to also hit the shift to get it.
Mm-hmm. Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, if you just press and hold the letter 4, boom, you got it. So
that's cool. Jean was asking if you could scroll below the while loop.
Oh, sure. Down here. I think it ends there.
Then Mordecai had asked if an array of keys work instead of so many ifs. Yeah, I think the problem is the offsets are different, right? And so
if you look here, there's 30, 32, 5, 1.
Yeah, it's not a consistent pattern. You
right.
Probably could still put it into an object, and then have it compartmentalized where it pulls that in. But I'm sure it's still fast, right? So I don't know if you get anything out of the speed of it running. And this is obviously a lot easier to read because you know exactly which key you're working on.
Mm-hmm. I went up again. I don't know if John got what he was looking for, and maybe I should stop moving it around.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to share this. Is just like where and how would I share it?
Why don't you, if you want, just email it to me and I'll send it out.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know if AutoHotkey have like a case statement. Typically cases instead of if else,
Right.
if else, if else, if else.
Yeah, I used case in SQL.
Right.
Yeah.
Other languages have that, but I didn't know if so. Someone said you could do it with an array. Huh?
Well, he's just giving you the exact, hey, replace the lower case in the first example, lowercase a with the uppercase a, or the 1 with the exclamation point. So you would be literally sending the keys the values instead of the looking them up with your char ASCII.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So instead of like here, just put the plus key there.
Well, what you would do is first create an array like he has there, continuing on with all of your combinations, the key value pairs.
Yeah.
Right, with the key you're going to hold down, and then the second one's going to substitute for it, and then you would have one somehow detect you're holding down the key, and then that would look up and say, oh, well, see, that's where I guess you would detect that a key is held down. Then you'd have to go see what was held down, then look it up and replace it with the other one. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work, but it quite often possibly could.
And I believe it's up here at the top that it prevents it from repeating. Maybe it's just up here. You know, because I press and hold the key, it doesn't repeat. You know, I guess if I wanted a bunch of $signs here, then I would do shift $sign. But if I just wanted, you know, the one, I press and hold the letter. You see the letter first.
Yeah.
I don't know if it shows on the screen. You know,
it does. I saw it earlier. Yeah.
So. All right, so yeah, I can send that off to you.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I'll.
A little side thing, I haven't been getting email notices like before or after these webinars. I fortunately have it on my calendar.
Are you subscribed?
I had been.
Let me see.
I mean,
I'll pull up the registrants and just see if you're in there.
I mean, we don't have to take up the time for that now, but I didn't know if anybody else if other people are getting them, somehow I got off it.
First thing I do is say check your spam.
Yeah, that's empty.
No, interesting enough, you're not. That's when I search in my file and it can't find it. That's the warning I get. No, I don't see you in there. So maybe you were subscribed and then at some point it ran out.
I know. Re-sign up again.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Does anyone have any questions for how he implemented or what it's doing and how it's working?
Yeah, if someone wants to take the code and clean it up with an array, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Is often it's a lot of fun to review different ways you could have approached something. Right? It's one of the best ways. I'll tell you, the best way I have learned how I've grown as a programmer is I'll write something myself, and then usually it's like Maestriath. I'll have him, do something else, and he will rewrite what I did, and then I can watch him do it, and I'm like, oh wow, I never would have thought of to do things in a certain way, and yet I can usually understand what he does. It's just it's he's a much better programmer than I am, and it makes me really grow as a programmer to understand different approaches on doing things, especially using objects a lot.
Yeah, you gotta get it working kind of quick and dirty, and then you go back and like, I bet I could do this or that.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, and the other thing I'll say is from watching him enough, and he admits this too, is like no matter how good you are, you always go back after and optimize, right? You start off and you're doing stuff, and you might think one level ahead where you're going to create a function right away or do things a certain way, but often you have to go back and restructure things or create some other functions that you realize like, oh, actually this should be a function. I can pass this parameter to it. And it's one of those, don't beat yourself up over not being the best, because everybody goes back and does it over time.
Mm-hmm. So,
I know Jean's been, by the way, he's been working on redoing QAP with classes, right, Jean? I think of he's incorporating using classes in QAP, and hopefully it'll make his code much more maintainable. I think is his goal.
Don't you have a kind of a different topic? You have like a tool you use to like capture parts of the screen?
Sure.
What tool is that?
It's one I hobbled together. It's with AutoHotkey.
Oh,
I'll put the link in the chat here in a second. Mark's city state. Yeah, Mark, if you but back to your point, Dale, I'll post a link to it here in a minute.
okay.
Mark's been working trying to extract data from I think it's from a form or something, but he needs to grab certain pieces of it. I don't know if Mark, if you want to, actually, you can go ahead and try to unmute yourself. You should be, or maybe you are unmuted, it looks like. But if you want to share, if you can share your stuff in your screen. Was there anything else, Dale, on that you want to share?
Not right now.
Okay.
I'll stop share.
But yeah, Mark, if you does anyone else have any anything they want to work on, or something they can show? Anything cool they've worked on lately? I'm trying to think if I've been doing a lot of different stuff. I was playing with a couple of different APIs lately for making phone calls. It's actually pretty cool. This tool I'm using, Ring Central. I could, like, if I had like Jean's phone number, I could have Ring Central call Jean first, and then after it calls and connects to him, then it would connect Jean's phone to like my phone. And so we got the API working for that the other day. It's going to be helpful for our business for calling people back. Cool. Susan, and I don't, maybe I missed it, but on your personal information stuff, if you had some sort of an example that we could go through, I think, so when you wrote me, I believe you said basically things like an IE, you can't copy them, right? You'll look at it and you can't copy it. You can't right click and highlight it and copy it. And so is there a way to programmatically still access that data? I think that would be a fun one to try, but I don't have any examples of cases where I can't do that. So if you had, even if it's just something we can make up, it'd be great to be able to test it, or we can maybe create a fake case and then we can test on that. Wow, and I didn't realize we're already into our next hour. Cool. All right. Well, does anyone have anything else they want to talk about? I'm gonna go ahead and, well, let me see that, because otherwise we're done and I'll just stop. I'll hit stop record. But I'm happy to stay on, or if anyone else wants to work through something, we can do that. And also, if you guys have ideas, like maybe just an example of using stir split or something like that for future webinars, right? Parsing text, which we've done in several different ways, but I think, real world case scenarios of grabbing stuff and playing with it, it comes up more frequently once you start really playing with data than you would think. And so it would be a good thing for us to all kind of play with and practice on. All right. Well, if no one else has anything, I guess we're done. Again, send in your ideas for future webinars, so we can keep having fun and learning new things. I'm happy to keep studying different areas, I just kind of ran out of topics to cover. Okie dokie. If no one else has anything, going once, going twice. Oh, Cat Odin shared something. Let's see what he shared. Let's see. Let me share my screen. Share screen. Hopefully this is here. And somehow I lost. And Cat Odin, what is this doing? Oh, holy cow! I think he already. Let's take a look at this. Did you rewrite Dale's thing already? Is that?
Well, all right. Keep them coming. Yeah, I know, right?
What? So let's see here. So I'll launch this. Let me close this now. All right, it's launched. So shift 1. So let me see now. Actually, I'll go into site because Studio doesn't love these things. So, and it looks like he's built in a couple of these. And so 1. Oh, the long hold was a little bit longer than I thought. So there's 1. Let's try 2. 2. He's putting in the double quotes. 3. Pound. So that's working. Oh, and then all the letters. Oh, A and A. Awesome, man. I love working with smart people. That is awesome. So Dale, hopefully you. Is Dale still on? I'll make sure he gets this. Looks like. Oh no, there he is. All right. Dale, that's pretty cool. He rewrote this, and it looks like it's already working. So look how much simpler of a program that is. This is why I love doing stuff like this, and people blow me away. Their thought process of how they did this. But here's where he put in for the 1, 2, 3. So you'd continue on up in here with these, but the rest, the A through Z, are taken care of for you because they're just uppercasing, of course, their own letter. Man. Yeah, no worries, Mark. Is missing some of the number keys. Yeah, no worries, Cat Modem. That's very cool. Obviously, well, I'd say much easier to maintain once you get the hang of understanding in the object, right? That key value pair, and in understanding this was one of the things I was thinking about was certain keys. Keys. You're going to need to wrap them because you can't send the exclamation point easily, right? It's going to think it's a different key. But that is wickedly cool and simple. I would have spent like a week on that, and it would have looked as nice. So great job. Very cool. And this is what I said also with working with Maestrith is once you grasp objects and how to use objects in loops, man, it can really blow your mind at how much more efficient your code can be. I still don't fully grasp them, but I'm getting much better. I'm thinking in them now more often than I don't, which is the opposite of how it used to be. Okay, Dale, can you unmute yourself again? I don't think I muted you, so you should be able to. Oh, you know what? Since we do it, I'm gonna stop recording and then we'll start again. Where? Stop recording.